Welcome to Cat the Minion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is going to be a, what the hell's it called? I'm going to review the Legacy of the Divine Tarot by Ciro Marchetti. So here's the box. It comes in a magnet box. The insides here. There. So the back. The box. I know that's not all going to be in focus, but anyway, box. And it has a large book that comes with it. So the book is called Gateway to the Divine Tarot, and at the beginning there's a 76-page long story, and I recommend reading that. I usually read the book that comes with my decks before I use them. So I found all of the description of the card meanings, which are very detailed here, you can see, because the whole book is about 290 pages total, including that story at the begining. I found the story to be an interesting read too. And the information that's in here is very useful because I was able to, I dipped out of this book heavily to make my astrological cheat sheet for what astrology is associated with each card, especially for the kings and queens. So that was quite useful. So the High Priestess is on the cover of the book, and the Queen of Wands is on the cover of the box. Put this away. Somebody just peeled ass out of here. So let me get through this. So this isn't going to be as long, hopefully, as the, I should point out that the story in the book is about the Akashic Records. Also says in the story that, he was looking at something that was, that was related to how his name is pronounced, because he was looking at like a Cairo symbol. Like they would put in illuminated manuscripts on the Cairo page, which would be the, I think it's supposed to, well, technically it should be a K, but the first two letters to spell Christ would be the Chi and the Rho. So if you look at the Lindisfarne Gospel, for instance, you'll see the Cairo page. So I'm not always sure how his last name is supposed to be pronounced, but according to that book, the pronunciation of his first name is Cairo. So anyway, these are digitally drawn, so they have this really elaborate steampunk kind of back. They're framed in black. Mine are worn because I've been using them for a couple years now. And it's, you can't tell if they're upside down or right side up, which is nice. I like that. Symmetrical, so it doesn't influence the reading. The fronts are also black. Now I noticed when I was sorting these out to do this that the pentacles have green writing and the swords have the light blue writing. Cups have golden, because you figure like a golden cup. And the wands have orange writing because they're fiery. And I noticed that the major arcana has different colors. So there's like ice blue, there's sort of a grayish blue, there's like a lighter orange, there's a red, and there's gold as well. So I'm not sure, like a macaroni and cheese. This is almost like a pinkish red, sort of a dusty teal. So they're, I don't think they're all exactly different colors. Death is sort of a antique gold color. I'm not sure why the major arcana have different color writings, but they do. So it's full color, and we're going to be looking at these first. In this deck, the Fool appears in other cards, so he appears here, and some of the other cards appear here. So the Fool usually has his dog with him. Instead of jumping off a cliff, he's floating out in space, which is kind of interesting. So he's dressed like a circus tumbler. It just gives a little bit of extra zhuzh, I guess. The Magician in this card is old. He's performing electric magic. He's got sort of like more science stuff going on here. So this deck is kind of a little bit steampunk in its idiom, styling, whatever, styling. So the High Priestess, she's got a scroll, but she's got this very ornate thing. Her third eye is open. This sort of, cross between ancient symbolism and looking a little bit more modern, especially with the digital drawing. She's got the moon on her card, because traditionally this is ruled by the moon. There's like water for the psychic waters. She's got this pomegranate here, I'm assuming, because she has access to the underworld. So she's looking... She usually looks like she's bald, but she's... some interesting tattooing or whatever on her face and neck. This magician gives more rise to the idea of a wizard, because he's old. Because if the High Priestess is the crone, the old woman, even though she's usually depicted quite young, the magician would be a wizard, the wise old man. So in here, the Empress is very pregnant, and she's got a bunch of animals around her, not just her usual bunny rabbit. I don't even see a bunny rabbit on here. Oh, there it is. It's over there. So she's got butterflies and whales and all kinds of shit. and a gateway. I don't always see a gateway. So the Emperor on this card, very prominently Aries energy. He looks a little bit like Yul Brynner, and he's up in this like ornate tower that has a pillar of like every kingdom on it. Right, he's the King of Kings, the Pendragon, blah blah blah. In his very fiery tower, because he is a fire elemental. So here, the Hierophant is called Faith. And there's this pillar here, it's supposed to be of knowledge or whatever, and there's different religions with their spiritual dogma coming in. So this would give a little, instead of the traditional Hierophant, which could also signify marriage, it's more of, for people who are religious, it might mean that they need to get back to their roots religiously, or that there might have a message in their scripture or whatever. For me, because I'm atheist, it just means spiritual downloads, right? Because a lot of these scriptures are said to have been received from an extra-dimensional being. So we're really just trying to get downloads from our guides here, especially with this in the Faith card. It can also mean to have faith in yourself, though. But there's a shift or a pivot here. And I was thinking... when I was getting the cards ready, I was thinking of, there's a pillar in Clive Barker's book Imagica, and it's called The Pivot. And that's what this reminds me of. It's my favorite book. I've read it 3 times. Or 4 times? Maybe 4 times. So here's the... Oh, wait, I'm not there yet. So here's the Lovers. Alright, so it's 2 wings that make up a heart shape. One's the feminine, one's the masculine. And there's an arrow coming down, like a Cupid's arrow, but there's this apple with the tree here. So it's sort of like a Garden of Eden kind of a thing. This deck, it almost looks kind of sinister, which is a little bit unusual. Maybe it's just the way that I see it, but for the artwork, for me, it looks like more like a star-crossed lovers, like gotta be on the sly kind of energy. For me personally, from that card, there's certain aspects of this deck that I actually don't like, but there's other aspects of it that I do like, and I actually got it because of this Queen of Wands card, because she was so epic. And as someone who has an art degree and makes art myself, I tend to be more critical of artwork in the drawings, and if there's aspects in it that throw off the meaning for me, or there's certain way that it's drawn that I don't like, then it just screws the whole thing up for me. So personally, I don't like that card in this deck. Although I normally tend to like, well, I like the Lover's card depending on the deck. I would say I like it a lot more in the Morgan Greer deck. So here's the Chariot. This one, it's a moon card, so there's the moon on there. The horses are brown and white instead of black and white, and that might just be because it was easier to render the details of the horse. There's a shaft of light coming down. There's sort of illumination. There's a Cancer symbol. And the angel or whoever driving the chariot is wearing purple, which does indicate higher chakra activation. And it's moving through water because the moon is a water elemental. But we don't often see the chariot animals actively in water. And in the regular deck, they're sphinxes, but they're often horses. So this strength card is also 8. Some decks it's 11, but this is 8. So we see the lion here, but we see other big cats as well. So there's... That one looks a little chunkier, so I'm going to say that's probably a jaguar. I think if it was a leopard, it would be a little skinnier. And this looks like a clouded leopard, even though it's too big. So I think maybe it's supposed to be a tiger, but it looks like a very enlarged clouded leopard, and that looks like a jaguar with really small spots. So, and then there's a woman here. There's often a woman in the strength card. Here, it's not just the regular old white lady maiden. She's, she looks rather African, actually. I mean, a lot of lion is usually found in Africa, and she's got this really ornate golden ensemble here. There's a lot of gold here as well, some red energy. It's very fiery, very lion-y golden, very solar center. But these creatures here, she's activating their crown chakra. And sort of, you think of strength, the lion, the king of the jungle, maybe there's crown activation, although a lot of the times, just because of the way it's positioned, I do tend to see this often as the third eye, but it really is the crown energy, specifically with this strength card. So it's not like she's making them, comforting them when they don't feel good. It's like she's actively activating their crown chakras and leveling them up in this deck. Oh, my battery's gonna go soon. So the Hermit in here, sort of a extreme close-up, but he's still got the mountains that he's crawling through behind him. He doesn't have a lantern. He has a glowing crystal staff, which is kind of a nice change of pace. He's got a Virgo symbol dangling off him. He looks kind of glazed, like he's already out in astral or sunk deep within his inner space. So we have the wheel here, and notice that these are all the Fool in different positions on this wheel. Prominent Jupiter energy. We got this sort of spacey landscape here, the cosmic wheel. The astronomical symbols, it's not just the 4 corners, it's all of them. And then there's a big pentacle here, and a sword down here, and a wand over here, and the cup over here. So it's the cosmic wheel with all the elements represented, and the ruler Jupiter hanging out in the background, very spacey. Reminds me of those Christian Reese Lasson folders I had when I was in school with the whales and the space scenes. So here we have Justice, and here it's 2 figures instead of 1. So we have the light and the dark, sort of nighttime purple. There's a yin and a yang symbol. There's a globe. This one's got scrolls. This one's got the sword. And now they're sort of like twins, which makes sense because it's an 11, but they're still both feminine figures. Justice usually feminine, and there's this sort of pendulum here as well. So a little bit different than normal Justice cards. It gives it more of a duality sensation, which makes sense because Libra is, there's like one hand or the other hand, and this makes it a little bit more prominent. It's like the choice here exists on more extremes than just inside the head. It's like way over here or way over here in the polarity. So that's slightly different with this card, but not really that different than the standard imagery. This one, the Hangman, is also the Fool. He's doing some Cirque du Soleil. He lost his little mask, and then he's still got an hourglass here. He's got an hourglass here as well. And then he's also on the Devil card where he has an hourglass. I don't see him with an hourglass on the wheel, but the wheel itself is a measure of time. And he's dropped some coins as well. So he's a little bit tangled up there, waiting for the time to come off the strings. Is that Neptune? Oh, it is Neptune. It looks like the moon, but it's a little more blue and stripy, so we have Neptune back here. Okay. To put a new battery in my camera. Hopefully that's still kind of in focus. These are so shiny, though. So the death card here, there's the skull here, very, like, another close-up. There's a scorpion here, scorpionic energy because of Pluto. There's a spider here. Not sure why. Maybe it's a black widow. And there's a chain here with the Pluto symbol. It's Plutonic energy. Now here death is like in a silhouette, it's a little bit like a ring wraith maybe. Is there some kind of a dead bird down here too? So it's sort of decay. Now what's interesting is that it's sort of like the sun is starting to rise after like a night of battle. And we see that, like, who's the winner here but the death. So it's like there's something that has to be cleared away as the sun rises here. This is a little... It's not that much more sinister, but I think because of the way that it's rendered without, like, comic book style characters, that it seems a little more visceral. There's a white rose there right in the middle that's kind of hard to see. That's usually on the death card. So not that deviant from usual death cards. It's just slightly different representation, really throwing those symbols down. This Temperance card, the Temperance Angel, is floating in kind of like a cathedral. And it's got water streaming from its hand and then a fireball in the other one. So this Temperance Angel is kind of hardcore. You can see very much that they're an angel. It looks like it's a feminine though. And I was gonna say he. That's weird. I mean, I guess angels can appear however they want. But anyway, he, she, they, whatever. Probably Raphael. Sagittarian energy. Which I don't explicitly see on here. But there's some kind of a dome that they're doing this under the light of day. Alright, so the Devil card here, he's got these mechanical spines coming off his helmet. He's sort of like the evil twin of the Fool because his mask looks kind of similar, only it's metal. He's like Evil Sonic because he's metal. And the Fool down here is being dangled off his hourglass, and the Devil's controlling all the elements, and he's like, no, don't! Capricorn symbol up here on the poles, and he's got this huge pentagram here, pentagram, whatever. I mean, the Devil is essentially a pentagram. Although, I don't know why it's... Oh, I guess it is inverted. It's just at a weird angle. So, anyway, this one features the Fool. It doesn't feature a masculine and a feminine. But this is sort of, like, reiterating that the Fool's journey, and the Fool is the one who has to contend with the Devil. The Devil here shown as strong, and essentially being part of yourself, too. Because, again, the Devil here is, like, the evil twin of the Fool himself. You can always see that. So, here's the tower. This is the tower that the Emperor is in. This is the view from the outside. It's got these 4 symbols of the different signs on it, and it's set up on these stilts. And here it is getting blasted by meteorites. which is sort of a combination of fireball and lightning, if you think about it. So it's hit by a meteorite. And then the star has the same tower, cold, grown over with moss, but the star lady is, she's not really pouring water out, but she's got these stars trailing from her hands over the water, and her legs are in that similar spiral position that they're often in. She looks more like a sprite or a fairy or something. So, the day after the destruction of the tower. I don't know if the tower's usually in the background of the star or not. I wasn't really looking at the mini writer weight when I did that one, but it definitely is here. And then the moon here. So we have the two pillars. We have the two dogs here, where they I think are both supposed to be Anubis. There's a crab down here instead of a lobster, because we know Cancer as a crab now and not as a lobster. Water symbols, and then the moon, and then a lake here. And between the two symbols, we have this moon goddess with the trifold moon symbol here, and she's just sort of bathing at night. So, not always going to see a nude woman on the moon card. And then we have Thoth here as well, and these two towers. In that way, it's sort of like they're the keeper of the information. There's also the secrets and secretions and nightmares and stuff. Probably because the moon is usually seen as a goddess, but we're sort of, it's like creeping up on her from behind. It's like, oh, this is secret. We're not supposed to see this. So that's another aspect of the moon there. And, oh, what is it? I'm going to look up what this word is because I never remember what it is. Look at the sun card. Because it's not a planetarium, it's called something else. The moon card, no, the sun. There's a specific word for what this is on the sun card, and I can't remember it. Just trying to figure out what this thing is called. Hang on. One of the people said it's a sort of planetarium, but it's gotta be it's called something else. Hang on one second. A temple-like hall. I thought I was going to say what it is. It's not. It's like astro something or other. And this is planetarium here. I'm pretty sure it was called something else, but I guess it's supposed to be a planetarium then. This thing down here is called something else, though. There's a machine here that has the different... it's kind of like the Antikythera mechanism, but it's like telling where the planets and stars are, and it's all moving. And these are all connected up here, like a big diorama in a temple. So, not really a planetarium, but kind of. But the sun is in the center, and this priest down here is sort of like hailing the sun and everything that orbits around it, instead of the usual imagery that you would get of the little kid riding a horse naked with the sun in it. But here, very much the sun, but not as you would normally see it hanging in the sky. Here it's a model. What's interesting is there's Aquarius, there's Libra, and then there's Sagittarius up here. And I'm not quite sure why, because the sun is Leo energy. And it might just be that it's supposed to represent what is Libra? Oh, Venus? Yeah, Venus. Okay. I'm not sure why, because it's not specifically the planets, but maybe it's supposed to represent certain points in time that might be relevant to a reading. But for some odd reason, Sagittarius, Libra, and Aquarius are up here on the thing. And then we have the sun. It's kind of hard to see because it's so bright. Judgment here. This is, instead of physical people, they're like souls being dredged up. It's not so much the man and the woman and the child, but it's like, it looks like 3 dudes and a woman there. Being souls being sucked up from the underneath. Very prominent angel here. Not that different from usual judgment cards. And then the Fool shows up again on the World card. Here, he's kind of a noob to the whole thing. He hasn't gone through the whole journey yet. Where's his dog? He's got his dog here, but he doesn't have his dog here. But he doesn't have to wear his mask anymore because he's mastered the time shifts of the universe. Or sort of like here, he's worried about running out of time, but here his time is all the way down in the bottom, but he's gotten to the end of the journey. And he looks a little bit more buff. He's more sure of himself. So slightly different than the normal World card, but we still have this idea of being trapped in the zodiac, like in the grand time scale of things. Usually it's just the 4-corner thing. Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, and Aquarius. And then a wreath with a nude woman. But here, the Fool is there in place of that. So that's what the Major Arcana is doing there. Let me get through these wands. So the Ace with the dragon on it, and the wand is made up of these sort of crystal technology things. 2 of Wands, 2 of the crystal technology wands, not combined into like a mega wand. This wand, the 2 of Wands, I see this symbolism in some decks where it's like Pandora's box, but there's 2 of them and you have to use a key to make a choice. Sort of an alternate imagery to the guy looking out over a field with a couple of wands and a crystal ball. So this is a little bit more Pandora's box than what I'm like, magic 8 ball, what do I do? 3 of Wands, usually it's ships coming in on the water, but you still see this guy on the water. These 3 technology wands here, but here it's an airship, right? And the dirigible has these balloons up here that look like ice cream cones. So hopefully he doesn't have serpents upon his dirigible, and his airship will be coming in. This is actually very orange, give it like a daybreak kind of energy. You don't always see that on the wands. But look at this, very, very fiery, and then with that orange writing as well. 4 of Wands, we see a rainbow kind of in here. We see this like barren crater, but these 4 wands, the technology bringing in just a little space of an oasis in this volcanic desert. So it's sort of the same symbolism that you normally see, but there's extra, you know, like a pocket of beauty inside all this chaos. So there's a little more of an isolation than of like a rolling fields to build your stuff, and this seems like what the foundation of what you're growing might be a little more special. 5 of Wands, I like this one because all of these guys that are fighting each other are branches off the same tree. This might be your ego splitting apart to fight you at every corner of the way. So it gives a slightly different perspective that this is all sort of part of you. And these guys also have wings, so they're sort of like fire elementals as well. A little bit different, but they're still beating each other with sticks, as per usual. 6 of Wands, pretty standard, just a little more ornate. We got a nice golden arc here, golden arch, triumphal arch. And this guy almost looks like a jester. He's wearing a lot of regalia, like super fancy, like no expense spared because this guy won. Otherwise pretty standard. 7 of Wands, often see somebody in a doorway. This one there isn't other people, but there's other wands coming in. It's like, no, this is the one true wand. So it's not a guy on a hill fighting off other guys, but it's somebody barring a doorway, right? None shall pass more than tired of having to defend my territory. This is like, you can't come in here. Giving a little bit more of, I'm not opening up to you, then I have to defend myself. Both meanings that come from Seven of Wands. Eight of Wands here. Okay, so here I have Sagittarius energy, which is normal. Mercury and Sagittarius for this card. This is like, I'm ready to sling this message where we've got to fly. What's interesting too is that these are all floating in the sky. Usually they're like flying through the air and you see trees behind them, but here they're all up in the clouds. It's more like there's an idea that's about to be communicated than we're actually traveling somewhere. But I see a centaur and he's sort of like running and he's got an arrow he's shooting. It's very active, even though these wands look like they're just kind of floating here. This is sort of like take a deep breath, we're going in kind of energy, more than usual in the decks. Nine of Wands, still the guy out there trying to guard his post. It's taking forever. This looks like he's about ready to give up, more than that he's just bored. It's like, how much more of this crap can I endure? Otherwise pretty standard, still got all the wands sticking up. There's a crescent moon on here because we have the moon in Sagittarius. Giving clues. Ten of Wands here. Okay, this guy's carrying all the wands, but I like that he's sort of crawling through the underbrush with them tied in a triangle to his back. I mean, just that they're in a triangle is giving, you know, the fire symbol is an upright triangle. And it's just sort of unnecessarily burdensome to have them in this weird configuration instead of all in one sack. It's like, it's already heavy, it already sucks, I'm already struggling, but let's make it as awkward as possible. Fairly standard, but also a little bit variation because it gives a different context. Right, he's not just carrying wood from one pile to another in the field. He has to drag this stupid, cumbersome bullshit through the woods. Right. Page of Wands. A lot of the time, the Page of Wands can be like a one-night stand kind of guy, but this kid is so young. It's like, is he really gonna, you know, is this 12-year-old kid really gonna seduce the woman next door? I don't know, but he's trying his best to put up a front of, you know, being cool or whatever, right? He might not get you in the sack, but he's going to try to impress the also 12-year-old kid down the hallway with his snazzy outfit with the dragons on it, right? He's making an effort. He stole his big brother's outfit and wand, and he's gonna learn how to do that wand. This is actually more, well, this energy, if you're gonna do that like one night kind of sexual energy, it's more of a, you know, give yourself a hand than have a quickie with someone else, which is a terrible thing to say because there's essentially a kid on it. But the pages in this deck tend to be more children than like teenagers. So the knights in this deck are all helmets. I think they all have creatures on them. Here, this Knight of Wands, sort of scary looking, horns coming out. He's got a big dragon down here that's burning down the whole forest. So this is a little bit more hot to trot than some other Knight of Wands. It's like, you gotta cool that jet a little bit, buddy. You're burning shit you're not supposed to. So these knights tend to be a little bit, it's almost like these knights are like too macho in this deck because they all seem to be a little bit overdoing it to the point of potential destruction. Here's the Queen of Wands from the cover of the box. She is why I bought this deck. Purportedly, Ciro Marchetti saw her at some fair and he really loved her hair and her outfit, and he's like, oh, can I please draw you? And she gave him permission or something. I don't know if the makeup was copied from real life or not, but This Queen of Wands doesn't have a cat with her, but she's very fiery, she's very direct, I mean, she could be potentially sexy too, because that's part of the element of the wands. But it's just, she's very direct. She's very, like, what and? Like, yeah, and what? Like, she's not about to take any crap from anybody, but she's not going out of her way to threaten either. Right? She's spirited, but she's measured. Let's put it that way. So the King of Wands here, for some reason, his wand and his belt look like the number 7. And every time I see this, I see the number 7. And I'm like, I don't know. He's got these big horns here. He's governing the fire. He's got dragons. He's just very red. He looks like he's in a trance. This guy is kind of, I don't know, this king doesn't really do much for me. Every time I see this, I just see this big 7 and kind of a loop here. Which is weird because the king should be a 14. He should be double 7. It almost looks like we're seeing him in a mirror. Like we're the King of Wands and we're looking into a mirror. I don't know. I'm not getting a lot from this card. It is what it is. So we get cups now. Ace of Cups. So these cups, they're all represented like glass with these ornate different golden stems. Very much underwater. We got a fishy here. Some more fishies. There's no hand of God. I don't know why I said it that way. There's no divine hand holding it. It just exists in its own element. 2 of Cups. So we got a masculine hand and a feminine hand joining together. Venus in Cancer. So we have a crab down here trying to join their little heart bracelets together. Venus in Cancer. So there's a Venus symbol here. And then it might be hard to see from here, but there's the feminine and the masculine from the Lover's card in the cup. The masculine hand holding the feminine in the cup and vice versa. It's also a low vibration of the Lover, so I'm not surprised to see that. 3 of Cups. So we have a party here, but instead of 3 feminine energies, we have 3 musical instruments. We have like a couple of lutes, I guess, and some kind of a flute or something. Some kind of a woodwind instrument, and then just variations in the cups. And again, this is all happening in water. This sort of dancer person here trying to kick up the party. So we have like musicians and a dancer represented, I guess. But it's a party, beach party. 4 of Cups. So this guy's actually older than the 4 of Cups usually is. It's a lot greener than usually seen. But here's this divine cup floating up here. There's no hand to be seen. But here's these other cups that he's unhappy with, and you'd think at this guy's age that he would have gotten out of the emo phase and stopped, being apathetic about everything. But for some reason, instead of being a youth, we have an older person here. That's really the only difference. 5 of Cups. So we have a person here. Sad, and then still, these ones are actually broken down here. They're shattered. But here's the 2 separate cups that are usually behind the person. They're sort of cradling them, wishing for what was, or what could be. But very much in danger of cutting themselves on this broken glass down here. So very similar, but a little bit more extreme close-up type of energy with that one. 6 of Cups, slightly different than usual. We have this kid in a field sort of reminiscing about having fun with their friends. Not wholly different, but there's no kids giving each other flowers. But we do see kids playing, and we see someone reminiscing about it, and then we see flowers and the 6 cups. So not that different. 7 of Cups, I mean, basically identical. They're just drawn slightly differently. details might be slightly different. I don't see a mushroom here, like in the mini Rider-Waite. There's a castle, there's a head, there's dragon wings, a snake. Usually jewelry in one of them. I don't even know what that is. It's like a wedding veil or something. So the stuff is slightly different, but it's basically 7 cups of stuff, and there's almost always a human head in one of them, and jewelry in another. 8 of Cups. So we have a guy walking away from these cups at the beach, except that he's already in the water. The cups are in the water, and he's like an octopus merman kind of thing. There's some distortion here because it doesn't look well connected. But he's like Ursula. He's 8 cups, 8 limbs. He's trying to let go of them and get away. He's like, I'm turning my back. I'm gotta untangle myself. And we have Piscean energy here. 8 of Cups. Saturn in Pisces. Okay. So this is Neptune here. 9 of Cups, usually the drunk guy with the row of cups. Here, the abundance and happiness and party atmosphere is shown by a bunch of exotic fruits that would have been hard to come by a long time ago. And then just all this, it's kind of abundant. I'm happy, I'm fed, I'm watered and all that. We have a sunset. So a little bit different, but still the same general vibe. So 10 of Cups. So we have dogs and cats living together in peace and harmony here. Mars and Pisces. So we have the 10 cups all here. There isn't a rainbow here, but we get the idea of we have a happy home because we've got a hearth fire. There's, you know, the home doesn't look run down or anything, and the animals are all content. So it's like a happy home. And again, it's more of a close-up than a far view with like 10 people and a bunch of animals in it. Page of Cups, so also pretty young, maybe 10 or 12. His clothes fit a little better than the Page of Wands, although it could just be the style, but he's holding a cup. Fairly standard. He's got shells on him. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on there. He's doing his best to keep from breaking it, let's put it that way. Knight of Cups, sort of tumultuous. There's a storm brewing. We got some stingrays hanging out down here. Now this Knight of Cups, oh, there's fish on his hat too. Very much in this position, in over his head in the emotions, right? This knight is out in deep water. Right, these knights are taking a lot of risk in this deck. They're really duking it out with the elements. Queen of Cups, so she's underwater. She's got her fish friends. She's got crown activation. She's intuitive. She knows how to speak her feelings, all that stuff. So not wholly different, but I mean, usually in her cup she does have a fish, and we see that she's got plenty of fish here. King of Cups underwater in his seahorse palace. He's just kind of there. He's not like that exciting. He's just chilling. I don't know. So the Ace of Swords, again, no deity arm, but we have a bunch of eagles up here. Symbols of truth and freedom and all that jazz. The air symbol coming in behind here, all the elements. So we are the truth hanging in the balance here. 2 of Swords, so instead of the woman character by the sea, we have maybe a feminine looking mask. A little bit of, the eyes are covered here by this ribbon. We've got the 2 swords here, they're kind of daggers. There's hands here. The moon in the background, Libra. It almost looks like they're going to a masked ball. And it's like, I don't know which one of these 2 people I'm supposed to kill, but I'm going to jab at somebody till I get them. it's, again, it's like more up close than some of the other Two of Swords, but still this idea of, you know, I've got this in one hand and this in the other, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. Right, and it's like until I figure it out, like in some degree they're wearing a mask. Three of Swords, so this one is a little different. Instead of the swords going through the heart, we have it on the face of this character here. It looks like a young girl, but it doesn't have to be. Very sad, crying. They have the heartache. And then the swords are just kind of never out of their range of vision, basically. It's like I see this in my periphery all the time. Similar, slightly different cast to it. It's a little, again, it's like up close and personal. We're having an extreme close-up. It's like wanting you more to identify with the emotional content than, yep, Three of Swords, ow, it hurts, whatever. Motorcycles. So this Four of Swords, I mean, basically the same. Although the Four Swords are all underneath the guy. He's sort of floating. Still asleep. We've got a couple of flowers here with this bird bringing in some kind of information. And he looks kind of sickly. He's resting after battle. But he's still in a cathedral. He still looks like a dead body. More or less the same. Just drawn a little different. Here's the Cairo right here. It's the Cairo symbol. X and a weird looking P. Five of Swords, so this is the last guy on the battlefield. And usually so the two swords that are separate are in his hands, and then the three other ones are tied to his belts. He's taking all the iron he can get off of these guys. He's like, it's like, I'm gonna survive all this bullshit. He's not giving up on that mind game. So this Six of Swords, there is a boat guy rowing it. It gives me more of an underworld, like Phantom of the Opera, or going through Hades or something like that. Here the Six Swords are kind of hanging in the air more than stuck through the boat, but it's more or less the same as usual. We're just in like a cistern instead of a lake. Seven of Swords. We get this guy sneaking in. He's got the Five Swords, so he couldn't quite grab these two last ones. We've got the Moon in Aquarius with this bird here. Just kind of stealing through in the night. So it's a little bit sneakier than the usual imagery, and again, it's a little more up close and personal. Eight of Swords, so we have this lady's caught in a spider web. She's wearing less clothes than usual. She's still all tied up. She's still stuck in the net. Otherwise, pretty similar. Nine of Swords, usually is a feminine in bed with the swords hanging over her. Here, they're not all in a line. They're just kind of arrayed vertically, and her eyes are open instead of closed in this one. There's sort of hands coming down. Otherwise, pretty much the same, but again, it's more of a close-up than on a lot of decks. Ten of Swords, also a little more close-up. We're getting more of the guy from the front instead of looking at him face down on the ground. He's sort of, and again, because it's swords, he's sort of up in the air too, and a lot of this has purple curtains, purple ribbons, I'm noticing. So pretty similar, but again, a little bit more up close. Page of Swords. So this kid, instead of having one sword, he's got two little daggers, which is kind of unusual. It gives a nod to say more that this should be number 11 than ever being a number 1. Other than that, again, just a little kid. So Knight of Swords up in the air here. We've got a couple of birds going at it. Not necessarily in as much danger as the other knights, but there's a tornado back here that I never noticed before, so you better watch out for that F5. Queen of Swords. I don't like her. I don't like what this hair or feathers or whatever is going on here. It just looks kind of effed up. She's got a fan made out of sort of sword-like things. She's up in the air somewhere. She's got a lot of psychic stuff going on here, but I don't, this card just does not work for me. I don't like it. King of Swords. I don't know why the kings are all like far away when everyone else is like extreme close-up. But anyway, he's up in his throne in the sky and he's got this like cool armor shit going on. But other than that, it's like whatever. Ace of Coins. Enormous, ornate, detailed. There's this idea of growth and abundance happening. So there's acorns, there's a hedgehog, there's a bee of some kind up here, ladybug. So not only is it huge, but it's out in nature. There's a manifestation. Two of Coins. So this guy's usually on the beach. Here he's treading water on his penny farthing. Sort of a rainbow here. Holding 2 coins. Here he's not just wearing a funny hat, he's in a full jester outfit. Sort of like a hand-me-down from the Fool in the Major Arcana. I don't know, I like this imagery. It's sort of unusual to be literally treading water, trying to juggle this stuff. 3 of Coins. So usually the 3 of Pentacles, they're called coins in this deck, is usually somebody working on a cathedral, but here's this guy, not even an apprentice, he's an old guy, and he's working on carving the pentacle. He's just getting going on his shop. He's got all these ones to work on back here, but he's trying to get these to a point where he can start doing the inlays. 4 of Coins. So this is an extreme close-up. Usually a guy seated with them under the feet and one in each hand. This guy is like holding them all together, not letting them out of his sight. You can't touch it, don't even look at it, it's mine. So again, very close up. 5 of Coins. This is like the same lady from the 5 of Cups. Sort of like a please sir, can I have some more? Outside a cathedral. Again, not quite winter, but it looks kind of dirty and cold. Again with the close-up, 6 of Coins, 6 of Pentacles, so the Moon and Taurus, and then we have 2 different hands, presumably from 2 different beggars. And then we have a very richly clad hand. There's sort of pendulum here giving a nod to Libra energy, and there's a chain coming down, also indicating perhaps the buckets on the scale. So just fancy hand doling out coins. Fairly typical, but again, more close up. It actually looks like this guy right here. The same outfit. Seven of Coins. So this one, there's a woman tending the plant full of coins instead of a man. Doesn't really matter, but it's, you know, the harvest is going to be there soon. In the meantime, you know, make sure you got the right size bucket and get this other stuff. It's coming. It's like these ones aren't quite yellow yet. You can't pick them, but it's coming. It's coming along. So basically the same, just a little bit different in terms of how it's rendered. So this 8 of Coins, normally you would think of this as being the 8 of Pentacles energy. Here it's like this guy's been working on his shop. It almost looks like an earlier point in time. Or maybe his competitor. Something like that. But anyway, this guy on the 8 of Pentacles, he's got all these designs for the coins. He's working on it. But now he's got this bill in the mail. And he's like, I don't know if I can get all this work done to get money so I can pay my bills so they don't foreclose on my house. This is the energy that I get here. It could just be he's unhappy with the design and he has to do more work to refine it. But every time I see this, it looks like a bill to me. Like, how am I going to afford this? Oh my god. So this 8 of Coins is slightly different, but we still see that he's in the middle of doing work. 9 of Pentacles. basically the same as usual. We have a feminine in her garden with a bird and abundance. Her Mistress Mary's garden grows quite well here. 10 of coins, 10 of pentacles. So instead of that like big fancy castle, we have a close-up here. We're seeing what's making it affordable to live there, right? Everything, like, I don't need to show you the whole house. Look at this stash that I've got to pay my rent for the next 40 years. That kind of energy, right? So the Page of Pentacles in this deck is decidedly female compared to the other pages, right? Now, on a lot of decks, the page is going to be a princess, usually seen as younger than the knight anyway, but here, decidedly, a Page of Coins is a girl, or perhaps a princess. But in general, more or less the same. It's just an extreme close-up, very carefully holding the pentacle. More or less the same as most Page of Pentacles. So what's weird is that the Knight of Coins, the Knight of Pentacles, usually the slow knight, we have two horses fighting each other. I was like, is that what's slowing it down? It's like it takes a long time for the Knight of Pentacles to get there because his horse keeps getting spooked, or it wants to go play with the wild horses. I'm not sure, but there's this aspect of some kind of conflict, which is not normally seen on the Knight of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles, she looks quite young here. Her third eye is open, she's manifesting, she's abundant, all that stuff. Extreme close-up, otherwise pretty standard. King of Pentacles, a little bit more close-up than the other kings. He's got his gold and green palace, so he's very tacked into nature and the earth and all that. Earth elemental. And he's like, yeah, see, this is my heirloom pentacle, that's why I'm the king. Otherwise, I mean, more or less the same as most King of Pentacles, just kind of there. So that's what's in that deck. I mean, there's several cards that are particular to this deck that can really alter the meaning, especially if I get that Knight of Cups inverted. And inversions are just sort of when they are. Now, I do want to point out that this deck is really easy to shuffle. The cards are snappy, pretty snappy, but they're thin, which is why the edges are kind of worn off on mine. But this deck is one of the easiest decks to shuffle. It's very easy to shuffle. Smith, and you know, they're decent sized. I can do them sideways if I want. They get too bent, I can do them backwards. So it's very easy to shuffle, which I do appreciate. When I'm doing readings for fire signs, I'll use this one a lot. This deck to me has a lot of fire in it, so I'll tend to use it more for astrological stuff for like Aries and Sagittarius and Leo, or for other things that might end up being quite fiery. Although I can't give an example right now, but generally to me this deck is, as a whole, a fire deck. So take that as you may. Also why I have it in an orange band, because I keep it in a different box. But that's it. The Legacy of the Divine Tarot. Probably a way longer review than I thought I was going to do, but that's it. If you want to get a personal reading for me, there we go. Alright, that's kind of in focus. The list of readings I have and how much they cost is going to be in the description box down below. I just have this eBay thing written down here because I have a doll for sale on eBay right now as of this recording. Everything's going to be in the link tree, so those readings are down below. You can email me, thecatcameback@camp@gmail.com, if you have any questions. If you'd like to donate, energy exchange, tip jar, that's PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. And then if you want stuff, I've got coloring books, dark poetry, drawings, paintings, A couple other flat art forms, prints, merch, stuffed animals. I got some foam lotuses over there on eBay too. Not eBay, on Etsy. So check that out. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye.